about. Trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist. Am I worth anything or just a scout? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Spending time all alone, sending my songs through the phone, dreaming of a better home, while focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the brujas let this last.
I don't know.
That was a great sounds. Watts with Outside on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, with my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, EZ Bluez is in the building. Easy Bluez. Just us today.
I know.
Crazy, right?
I need some snare in my headphones.
You need some snare.
Some snare in my headphones. No, but first of all, usually in the show, this is where I do like a crazy intro and different things like that.
That's true.
And for 3 years now, by the way, happy anniversary in April, the month we shall not speak of because it was the month of 2023 that might have possibly ripped out someone's soul and did a little hat dance on it, and that's fine because that happens. So April necessarily didn't happen, so we're going to celebrate it in the month of May. This is our 3-year anniversary. And for 3 years, I have been gassing up guests. And also, like, I get that gas up after this amazing gas up that you give me every single show, but not once, sir.
Yeah.
Have you been gassed up? So
You're really
I want you
gas
to
me up right now.
But of course.
Oh Lord, help me.
Of course. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have ever, and I mean ever, been in that spot where you needed that rock solid person, when you needed someone that you could truly count on, in those moments of darkness, when it was all somewhat meh, you needed that amazing meme. You needed that TikTok to really snap you out of your life. But also on the top of everything else, you needed somebody who is willing to stay up with your children while you go to a rock show, because that's how much he cares about you and how much of a genuine human being he is. He really puts the journalism in this show of my ridiculousness and my weirdness. He's always there, telling truth, telling facts. He keeps it running, and he's able to manage my cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I want you to put your hands together, not if you're driving. Please keep your hands at 10 and 2 for the amazing, the fantastic, someone that I call my sonic sibling, my good brother from another mother, my mister from another sister, Preston Wilson. Prestige, welcome.
I don't know how I feel about that. That was the scariest thing I ever watched your kids because they missed their dad so much. They kept me up almost all night because they wanted to talk to you on the phone. It was the most crazy experience. I love them. I love them to death. They're the best human beings possible. But the bond you have with your children is definitely unexplainable because they are attached to you and they do love you, and they would not go to bed at all unless they hear your voice.
Yeah. It's a thing. It's a thing. This is what happens when you don't have children, you have clones. If you look back, Jango Fett had such an amazing bond with Boba Fett that these things were able to last through for so long, and that's kind of what goes on. And they are amazing human beings. Absolutely love them all to death, and they're out there literally taking on the world, which is dope. You know, when there some kids would sit back and be a little bit more timid through middle school, they're on debate teams and they're in robotics competitions, and you know they're having a side hustle to try to raise the money so they can get the collector's edition of the new Legend of Zelda that's coming through, and you know, doing like physical art, being able to raise $90 in a 2-week span. Like, they amaze me, all three of them, every single day. But this is not about them. This is about, and I referenced it kind of in the intro, your social media game when it comes down to motivation. Has really been I don't know if other people have commented on it, but like, obviously I am chemically imbalanced. So I have ups and downs and ins and outs and twists and turns. And there's
Right.
many a times where I can scroll through your stories, and they really are massively motivational and transforming. But it's not just like the posts of your stories. You go out and you actually live this type of aspect. And I don't think our listeners really know that much about you. So
I mean,
I want to kind of dive into that, man. I mean, we've had your dad on the show, but have we really talked to Prestige? And how you have sat in this mindset of really, that self motivation, that incredible hustle. Your work ethic is next to stellar. I remember when we first got this show, Harry complimenting you on just your stops and your starts and never having to remind us about the 20-minute drop. Um, where did this all come from, brother?
'cause no one else is going to do it for me. That's pretty much where it came up from. And just pretty much, I don't know. I don't know where it really came from, honestly. But when I think about this and this answer that I'm trying to think of right now, I'm just totally slurring my speech and losing my train of thought. But when I answer this question, I'm about to answer your question right now because I can't really think of anything as me to answer for you. But the worth ethic just comes ever since I was little. I was always working like at least like 3 or 4 different jobs. I really can't complain. I just been working ever since I got started to have a job. My first job was oh God, my first job was going door to door selling candy. So I was just doing that when I was little, like 10,
Mm-hmm.
11 years old. So with the worth ethic, it just naturally happened. I guess it's an organic thing. I got it from my mom, got it from my dad. It's just that mentality of there's no one's going to do it for you. You just got to pick it up and just do it yourself. As far as you say hardworking, I really think I can do a lot better. I think I've been slacking. But I think I can just step my game up and work just a little bit harder and just to prove myself because I'm not at the spot of my life where I want to be. But I really do appreciate those kind of. I really
Well,
do.
see, that's really what it was amazing because I know you very, very well.
Yeah.
And I know you're not at the spot you want to be,
Yeah.
but you are finding this incredible, and this is again back to the stories and stuff like that. You're finding
Mm.
this incredible mentality sit to be. I know where I am. I appreciate where I am, but I'm still going to push forward.
Mhm.
And look, between a pandemic, between the absolute craziness, between the massively divided all type of nonsense, and between points in times where you've actually felt the aspect of being threatened. How are you able to maintain that thinking of, okay, I'm focusing on myself. I'm going to distance myself from the toxicity, and we're going to move forward.
Man, you said I was the reporter. You just
Oh, no, not going there. No, no, we don't say
you
names,
called
sir.
me the investigative reporter. I really don't know how I'm gonna handle that question, Easy Blues. But I kind of say I kind of got it from you because I mean, look at yourself. Like you're a dad. You go back and forth. I mean, you're writing the stuff for a news blog. I remember that time we were going. I think it was like late at night. That was before Shane Penguin, before your
Hmm.
band. We were just like going from bar to bar just to get a good credibly name for you out there because you try to make a name for yourself in the whole indie music scene. You still are, but you're at a better spot than you were, I say about like 4 or 5 years ago when we met, and you were just like just
Bro, we
hustling.
met like 8 years ago.
Bro, that's why that I'm getting old. I'm getting at that age right now where I'm forgetting what I did yesterday. So
Word.
4 or 5 years ago is probably 8 years ago. It's maybe 10. I'm at that spot of my life now, and I kind of like
Word.
that. But it's just how it is. It was that night we were going from bar to bar, hopping, and you wanted to give up. I remember you wanted to give up and just like go home for the night. But those connections you made just throughout Crown Street and just performing, I think it was like 10 performances that night, maybe even more. You made a lot of good connections. You are
Hmm.
with people right now. I mean, look at the people we interviewed, like Brian Cronin from that
Hmm.
mag, and then that led you going to Philly. Just
Hmm.
other opportunities from people that and that's pretty much it. Just being around good people and being around a good net circle made me the person who I am. I think you're one of those.
Oh, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah,
That you are definitely like that person, not only for me, but also for the Chitrons. Because
right.
they're like, yeah, no, we're cool. Like we know that this is gonna happen. But by the way, we did watch Cocaine Bear last night.
Oh yeah, I
It was
did.
a lot of fun.
I
Yeah,
bet it
yeah.
was.
Feel free. I will watch it over and over again because here's the thing. It's not meant
Right.
to be good. And let me speak to some of the artists that are moving and shaking right now out there. Look, you can really
Right.
get wrapped up in being so serious and create because it's a piece of you, the art that you create. Um, you can be so serious and it needs to be like the most incredible thing, and everyone wants to write their Stairway to Heaven, or everyone wants to write they're Killing Me Softly.
Mhm.
Everyone wants that pinnacle track, right? But maybe, just
Maybe what?
maybe, there's a reason why Peaches is the number one song in America right now, because it's ridiculous. And
Right.
because sometimes we all just need to laugh. And when you can commit yourself fully to the joke,
Hmm.
it's a beautiful thing. So go and have fun, people. Like they call it playing music for a reason, because it's supposed to be fun. You're playing. You're going back to when you were a child sitting on your play rug in your bedroom,
Right.
and you've got your little Lego Warriors, or in my case, G.I. Joes, and you get to create the entire universe. We get away from that as being adults because we have responsibilities and nonsense and shenanigans and people telling us who to be, where to be, and how to be. If we can tap into that as artists and just allow that little bit of freedom for everybody else out there, you're going to feel better and they're going to feel better. And who knows, it could take off because you're being your genuine self. We say it all the time: invest in you, and the sky's the limit.
Definitely. I think you did that with Shane Penguin. Tell me, how do you deal with yourself and just other chaotic minds making this great music and just performing for these people? Because it got to be hard. You got like four different heads just like making like just at least one song. One song has to be difficult, and just to making sure that everybody likes it. It's okay being solo, but in a whole band, a joint force, how do you come up with that?
Well, what's really interesting for us in particular, we just started calling it tuning into the radio, where one of us might have an idea or something like that, and we'll jam it out, and we'll see what the song is there for. Uh, you know, see 100% like what is supposed to be there. And for me in particular, I always look at the writing style, my writing style, as
Mhm.
something the Black Crows had said on their Behind the Music. And feel free to go look this up. It'll be in the footnotes that we're never going to accomplish. But there was a Behind the Music episode where Chris Robinson, love him, hate him, respect him, don't respect him, I don't care. But he
Right.
stated, we're just trying to find our piece of the big song. And I think that's what I try to do. Is I feel that all music, and again, spiritual nonsense and shenanigans, but I feel that all music is secular, and all the songs have already kind of been written, and you're just kind of figuring out your piece in there. And when you tap into that big song, man, it's a next level. So it's a lot of trust. It's a lot of faith. It's a lot of deep breathing circles.
Mhm.
Hint, hint, pause, pause, reflect, and move forward. That helps, and also it's about having fun. We don't limit ourselves. We don't limit each other. We don't say we have to play this style of music. We don't say we have to write this. There are no rules. It's just a matter of what we feel comfortable with, and that's the key. When you start bogging yourself down, it's really interesting because the Dream, amazing songwriter.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
He
I'm
he
familiar.
wrote he actually wrote Rihanna's huge hit Umbrella.
Mhm.
And the amazing Alexandra Burnett, who we've had on the show, her and I were talking about this a couple weeks ago. And where he was kind of walking through the studio, and his brother and his brother's friend were playing on the keys and the drum, getting this certain type of beat together. And he just kind of walked in, and he's like, "Yo, record that." And they're like, "What are you talking about? Like, this is nothing. Like, he's like, no, record that." And within 15 minutes, he wrote and recorded Umbrella. Because he got into the mindset of like, look, I know what a hit sounds like. I'm just going to go write a hit. It's so much less pressure. Like, you know, you're not like, I have to define the entire world and its existence and the reason for being here. Nah, man,
the
I
reason
gotta
for being
say,
here is we're on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself Prestige, with my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City Rays, Long Island Rays, Elm City Made. If I can barely speak, Easy Bluez is in the building. Please tell me about this great history lesson of music. Go right ahead, Easy.
so, you know, when you can get into that, you know, the reason, you know, for being here, the existence, and everyone needs to know the why, right? But sometimes you just need to know, hey man, it's raining outside and I need an umbrella. You know, and that's kind of the basis of things. And when you can find that simplest thing that someone can lock onto, one of the things I've studied actually from the songwriting aspect is Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson's been a phenomenal songwriter for longer than pretty much everyone in existence has been alive. And he used to have to do it when pop radio was everything had to be about 2.5 minutes. And you had to get your point across between that time frame. That's crazy. Like, you got to tell a story, you got to have a good hook and all that in 2.5 minutes. So you start to really be able to shed things down. And obviously now that, you know, we have more opportunities as musicians, we can put up our own stuff on the social medias, we can put up our own stuff on the band camps, we have more control. You can put out a 17-minute song. No one's going to buy it, but you could put out a 17-minute song. You know, but when you have, like, if you take the tools of making sure you're writing well, write really well, you know, in that 2.5-minute structure, to take that same type of writing style and put it into a 17-minute structure, now you're writing a rock opera. You know, it's bigger than just writing this song for now, you know, and that's one of the things, like, I was blessed to grow up when hip hop was blowing up. And to be honest with you, and now this is where I'm going to get all the hate mail, 80s rock music did nothing for me. I did not like it. I did not understand it. It just was not for me.
It was a whole bunch for you.
Yeah, a whole bunch of dudes in super tight pants doing splits with hairspray in their hair. I didn't like any of it.
So if you put on Cherry Pie right now, it's not gonna get you going.
I mean, not unless I have a stack full of singles and there's a shiny object in the middle of the room that people twirl around. That's the only time Cherry Pie has any type of importance for me, sir.
Noted. Yes, sir.
Just put it out there. But if you put on the Blacker and Deffer record, I can tell you almost every single aspect. I remember sitting on my bed, listening to Blacker and Deffer over and over again, and really breaking down. When I'm alone in my room, sometimes I stare at the walls, and in the back of my mind, I hear my conscience call. So much better than "She's My Cherry Pie." You know what I mean? Like, look at the two. So I tell people I am as influenced by Chuck D as I am by Bob Dylan, because at that time, hip hop was telling so many better stories and telling it in such a more interesting way. So when you can fuse it all together, it just, you know, I am not a hip hop artist. I've played hip hop shows, either doing acoustic, which makes absolutely no sense, or, you know, with Shane Penguin, which kind of has a little bit of a groove. And some people feel that I kind of have that swagger of, like, I want to be like an MC and dance around and jump around and act like a fool. And that's kind of what I do. You know, but it's because I have those two type of influences. Now, yourself in particular, all right? You also kind of have those two different influences, because for those who really know you, you have that sportscaster, broadcaster type of voice, where you can have those deliveries and those sound bites, and that's why that transition with WNHH always hits so perfectly. But you're also really get involved, and you're listening to all these podcasts to help yourself as the journalist and as the interviewer. How do you sit in both of those worlds?
But as a listener and as a
as an artist, really, because, like, I know that a lot of people don't look at journalism. Well, a lot lot of people don't look at journalism as an art form. I look at kind of everything as an art form.
Right.
Um, so you are an artist, and you have again that sportscaster broadcasting projection, and I expect
Yeah.
to hear in a couple of years. I'm gonna go to the movie theater at bow time. I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna hear Preston go, "In a world," you
Okay.
know, like that's that. But you also have this incredibleness to get to know somebody, to highlight what they are doing, to understand how important they are to the community. Like when you brought Jamal Robinson to the show and really
Yeah.
started talking about the open air
Hmm.
festival and how important it was.
Yeah.
You went there first.
Yeah.
You met everybody there, and you understood the importance of that festival to bring it to our wonderful listeners that we love you all so much. How do how do you sit in those two different worlds?
Uh, I don't know, man. I just live the moment. You know, I just live the moment. I don't know about sending two worlds. I always think about it. Just how I was taught in school. You always got to picture it if you are the person listening to your product. And you always have to, sometimes I re-listen to the stuff we do. Sometimes I, you know, even listen to those old shows I did at the former radio stations that I worked at, and just like listen to myself and see how much I got better, see how much I can work on and improve on, see what I'm still doing that I did the past couple years. I always look back
Mhm.
sometimes. I don't do that regularly now, but I need to start doing that just a little bit more because life happens. We get caught up with work and different other stuff outside that spectrum. But I always try to look at it as if I'm the person listening to my product and what I would expect and what I would like and what I would listen to. And as far as pretty much like being an interviewer, just bringing on people that I like and you like. I mean, like when you had the what was it, the witch crew, I forgot their names, Virginia and
Which
Anna.
can't say
Yeah,
thrift. Yes.
exactly. When you had those girls up there, I just sat back and was just a fly in the wall because their world more than me. And the same thing with Jamal. I know a little about
Mhm.
his world because I had a little conversation with him. It was like a little 10-minute conversation, but people just say a lot without even saying a lot. When you meet people, it's like you're good at, I mean, you're a people person. You're good, catching vibes with different people when it was either positive or negative. People tell a lot about themselves, like even what they wear and how they interact, the different people they associate with. People say a lot. So when people say, "How did you know that?" You probably already told me just within the 2 minutes I interacted with you. So it's just pretty much just being just a little bit observant as well too. One of those like things you just pick up just in due time, just with experiences with people. Feel the same way.
Oh, I totally do it, and that's the other thing. I want to give you your flowers right now because
Yeah.
you, for in this show in particular, always the guest, always you pull out these questions just from completely super califragile left field, and every single one has like kind of pushed back from the camera. And feel free to go back and watch every single episode of this show, folks. It's on all the sort of amazing streaming services, but if you can look it up on YouTube in particular, when Preston asks that question that really throws you, that really takes them up, they're like, "Oh, you did your research. Oh, I didn't realize it was going to be this type of show." And it's such a beautiful moment. Like every single time, it's like that 1-2. When you're watching, Mayweather, and he just has that setup, or when you used to watch Roy Jones Jr. and he used to put his hands behind his back, and then just 1-2 and knock the dude down. It is kind of like that beautiful setup. You hit them with that question and you put them so much at ease. And then they get kind of super excited because that was what they've always wanted to talk about on every single interview they've been on. But everything is so stick to the bullet points, move forward, stick to the bullet points, move forward. Is that something that you have noticed from other shows and watching other shows and being a student of the game? You wanted to provide that differently, or is it just
Um,
so you like to mess with people?
not now really I don't really like to mess with people. I just could put it as doing my job, and I don't really like point at the reactions. I think you have more reactions than me when you ask people questions most of the time because you go, out the ordinary when it comes to what you say. I pretty much just stick to the script. You just, just say something they wouldn't really expect. So when it comes to shocks, I think you have more shock value than me, but we can debate this, on another time, even on air, on air or off, if I can barely speak. But I just picture just doing my job, just that's what we have to do. It just makes me feel that I showed that guest respect and just asking
Mhm.
instead of just going the other route with other questions that I give them, because
Right.
like if they have that reaction, that shows that I really wanted to put them on the show, you know.
Right.
That's
And
it.
that's a huge reason for this show, you know. Um every time that you and I have ever been on anyone else's show, we talk about it, but it's really, we know how hard it is for
Mhm.
every single independent business person out there, for every single independent artist out there. You know, you have the entire world telling you no. It's tough to make your bills. It's tough, life, as our amazing producer Harry stated, life is a comedy and a bad drama.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love that metaphor, and that's why I had to say it on air, because we love Harry so much, but also because it's true, you know. And it can beat down on you. So when we can have somebody on the show and we can make just 50 minutes just all about them, and how important they really are, not only to their story but to the story of New Haven, or in some cases when we had like TS Monk on, the story of musical history.
Yeah.
You know, it's an incredible thing. And for everyone who wants to come on the show, feel free to hit up Harry. No, I'm just kidding. Don't don't do that. Feel free to find myself or Prestige on social media. Hit us up. We'll talk. But now let's talk about that, because I don't think there's a lot of people that this type of experience, like getting them on the show, is their first radio performance ever, their first time being ever interviewed, and different type of things there. And for some people, they might get a little bit nervous, and for other people, they don't necessarily understand what's going on. Can we
No,
give
not
a
at all.
little bit of advice on like when you have to prep up for an interview, or things you
Um,
should do and you shouldn't do? Like make sure your family eats before you get on the air. I'm just putting it out. I'm not saying anything in particular, but I'm just saying feed your children.
you are, but
Um,
you're doing it in a respectful way, so I can
ex-
respect that. But
of course.
I just say the only advice I can give out to people is just watch the show that you said yes to be on, so you get like a little idea of what to expect. Saying, right, this is what I'm a little gonna get into. Secondly, just relax. You know, if you don't want to answer a question, you can say no. No one's putting a gun to your head. You know, go on with that. And a lot of people really don't know. It's really sometimes it's hard to get on the radio. It's hard to get on TV unless you're invited. If you really want to put your brand out there, it's really hard just to start out. Starting out is like the hardest part, but if you're consistent with it, it's really easy. But just like getting out there, even like with different bands. I mean, I remember different interviews we did and stuff you've been telling me about, just trying to get one
Hmm.
song to a station, even a small college radio station, going to be a hard thing because you got to work or talk your way to impressing these people to put that particular song on, or to put that commercial on that supports your brand. It's really hard to get that stuff out there. So when people are thankful, they really are, because they don't really
Hmm.
get that opportunity every day, especially with all these small businesses out there. I remember when we had Lillian Kathleen on talking about a clothing company. Never had an interview in years. She's just been going it by herself, her social media, her TikTok. It's just been her,
Hmm.
so for someone just to invite her up, she was thankful. It's very difficult to get your stuff out there, but for the people, or for the person who is listening to this right now, just keep at it. Keep at doing what you're doing. One thing I just want to get into, easy. I know you have a lot of topics you want to talk about.
Hmm.
We might as well get into it since we only got about 20 minutes left. The broadcast is the self-care
Hmm.
aspect, because I really think you can get a lot of that. And just for you personally, I mean, you've been going through a little bit of hardships recently, but you've been battling through.
Hmm.
You've been battling through, brother. You've been going through some tough times. I know. Um, I don't want to get into it though, but
Oh, we like you know me, dude. I'm an open
yeah,
book.
I know I
Yeah,
don't want to get into it that
yeah,
much,
yeah.
but I
Word,
know
word.
just like I know you had one member of the band
Mm-hmm.
leave, and you got, and for that, you know, if you had to be in a long time consistency with that person in that band, it starts to
Mm-hmm.
create a strong bond, and now that bond is broken, and it's really hard to trust another person to join in with that unit or that family that you guys create. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Um, that new guitar player probably can't recreate what that old guitar player did.
Right.
You know? So mentally, it's very hard to pick somebody, or you may not want to pick somebody at all and just pretty much get the guitar yourself and just go at it because you know you can do it a certain way that person can't, you know.
Right.
It's very challenging just to go through that, but definitely we want to talk about self-care. I just want you just to highlight it just a little bit. You don't have to go too much into it.
Right. Well. Again, 2023, for all intents and purposes, has kind of sucked. I'm not even going to pretend.
Right.
It has been rough. I've had some incredible highs and some ridiculous lows.
Mhm.
You know, coming back from the Philly Music Conference and having industry people yelling at a promoter
Mm.
because we went on early, and they came just to see us, was dope. Playing in a room, that was not fit for sound, and having I'll somewhat kind of sort of name drop, but having the manager of Corey Feldman say this room sounds like garbage, and you guys made it sound good. Um, it's amazing. Like you have that, and then unfortunately, everyone is human, and hurt people. And our guitarist hit a rough patch, and he had to leave the band to one because we cannot have a representation of non-consent. Uh, you know, uh, Shane Penguin has been always founded upon, every human being is important, and everyone should feel safe at our shows. And when a member, although doing it from a dark place and a point of pure darkness, and
Mhm.
pure hurt, a member doing that is a violation. And we needed to cut that. We are still here. We are still trying,
Of course,
with him as a human being,
of course.
hoping that he heals, hoping that he can be better, hoping that he can build for his family, and we love him to death, and we will
Mm, of
always love him to death.
course.
He is family, and family is not always perfect. There are flaws,
That's true.
um, but as we understand, and we tell the people that are coming in to like audition or to see if it's going to vibe, as a guitarist, we don't want a cover artist. We want to see what your artistic aspect. It's something that I've always done my entire life. I go into tattoo parlors with an idea of what I want for a design, and then I tell the artist, but I want this to be a piece of you as well. Because it's super important. And that's just kind of like how we get through that in the musical aspect. And the other thing was to make sure that the three of us, were strong enough, and want this enough, to move forward, because we all kind of got our heart broken. And we had a time of mourning, and John actually went to Japan for 3 weeks, and kind of did grab the little stuffed penguin with him,
Mhm.
and took some incredible Instagram stories that were very healing. It was
Yeah.
a beautiful process, to kind of like see as a rebirth. And then once we were about to start rounding up again, my little brother passed away
Mm.
about 3 weeks ago, and that was deafening and shattering. And then last week, um, our drummer's father passed away.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, no, it's but as John had pointed out, it kind of feels like the tamping of the land, because to grow good food and produce, you need to destroy the land a little bit. So it does feel like we are sitting in a beautiful rebirth process. That saying, not at all saying that what we went through in the darkness isn't very real. And because of some of that, I actually had to take a step away from my normal natural. I understood that I was super strong as a human being, and my masking skills were amazing. But there's only so much a human being and a genetic human being can handle. And I actually started taking SSRs, which are serotonin replacements. I'm actually started a Prozac regimen,
Okay.
um, and it has helped. I've obviously have had the month that has tested it beyond all all things, and I can't necessarily gauge how well it's doing, except the fact that I haven't lost it on anyone, even in some of the darkest moments, even in having family members, be so. And I'm gonna say it on air. Family members being so selfish they didn't even show up to my little brother's celebration because it wasn't
Mm,
about them.
mm,
And that's when looking at your stories has helped, because you're constantly talk about making sure the circle is small and being with trusted people and moving away from toxicity. And we are so bound by genetics, and we are so bound by societal's nonsense to stay with those that are toxic because they're family and all this kind of stuff. And that's such an illusion. You have to look at life sometimes the way you look at spring cleaning. You take an object in your hand, you go, does this object give me joy? And if it doesn't, you throw it away. And you can do that with people you are biologically attached to.
mhm.
If they are super toxic and they don't bring you joy, and that relationship doesn't bring you joy, cut it out. You don't need that cancer in your life. You are worth more. Invest in you. It isn't all about them. Sometimes all we are a footnote in an obituary. And sometimes we're the main character, but you have to be okay in both roles.
Mhm.
And that's kind of like how I've been evolving through life. So yeah, I think the entire we just heard New Haven all go, oh. There's someone in an office right now crying.
Oh God, crying. Oh Lord, that's the last thing we want to make people do. But at
There's
least it
no
made them
crying
talk.
in baseball.
At least it made them think.
Word.
Did make them think. You always got to look out for that person in the mirror. Always.
Mm-hmm.
You always got to look out for that person in the mirror, and you just got to keep at it. You got to keep at it. I think you've been doing a great job. Just maintaining. I know you've been talking just a lot about therapy
Mm-hmm.
and trying to find that right person to talk to, because even finding a therapist is hard. Because you don't want to tell all your problems to that certain type of person, but you can, therapy is just like, like a job interview. You can move on to the next one and find
Mm-hmm.
that person who relates with you, and therapy can even be talking to people who are close to you as well, too. You can save
Mm-hmm.
some money.
Yeah. Well, one, I have good insurance,
There you
but
go.
on
That's
top of
good.
that, like for me, like I initially, I'm a Gen Xer, so like
Right.
feelings bad, must move forward, suffer in silence. This is what you're raised on. This is what
Yeah.
goes through. You'll know how I feel by the playlist that I have on. Am I listening to Nine Inch Nails? Go away. That's that's how life is, right?
Yeah.
So when stuff, especially like with my DNA journey and connecting with my father's family and understanding
Mhm.
like kind of like the story that I grew up thinking was not the reality. I understood that I had to rework my brain process. So I started the therapy aspect, but I started the therapy aspect and I was very honest. I was like, look, I need y'all to teach me how to mask better. Like I need y'all to make you make logical sense of this stuff that makes no logical sense to me, so that I can continue to pretend and not care about feelings. I'm starting to feel, and this is nonsense, and I don't like it. But then through that journey, like you start to actually heal, you start to move forward, and look, healing hurts, man. You know, for those this Friday, make sure you all come out to the State House. Cheshki with the amazing Miles Bolin, Chris Condi, and Indigo are playing. And Miles Bolin has this incredible song called Swallowing Bruises. And the opening line in there is healing hurts like you're swallowing bruises. And it's not just like, look, man, when you break your arm, it hurts for it to heal and for it to reset. So as you're, helping your inner child, there's also pain that you have to go through and you have to process, and it hurts and it stinks and you don't want to do it. But then you get to the other side of that, and there's this amazing freedom there.
You know what
When
hurts?
you process it.
And I don't know what hurts. I guess I didn't say the tag WNHHLP 102.5 FM New Haven. That really hurts. Hire me, cancel me, but go right ahead. Go and do what you had to do.
Well, fun till the daddy took the T-bird away. You know, and so you are kind of like rebuilding yourself, but then again you have these clips of life, because no matter what, like, life is always going to continue to move forward, and again, you are the main character in your own story, but you're also a side character in your children's stories or your family stories, and you have to balance all of these roles that you're playing, right? So in that, it can get dirty, and then sometimes people pass and all this kind of stuff, and it really goes through there. And I used to call my trauma response my superpowers, because I could push through anything. One of the things that helped me get through the military, is I created a whole nother persona. That's where Easy Bluez came from, because what Dustin couldn't do,
right,
Easy Bluez could accomplish. He'd kick through the door and be damn Yankees all over the place. For those who know that music video, I just don't reference the actual artist who did it, because I don't like him. He is not a good person. Not a good person at all. I don't like him.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's you have to have that type of aspect, but then you can lose yourself. When you are someone who are amazing at compartmentalizing, and you understand and you can read a room really quick. Right. You spend a lot of time being the perfect person for everyone else, that you lose focus on who you truly are. And that's when you can get lost. And that's where the things like the quarter life crisis and the midlife crisis all kind of come from, because all of a sudden you wake up and you realize this is not who you thought you were going to be. And now you can either deal with it or you can fight against it. But as we continue to grow and move forward, if you can evolve, if you can understand that this is the person that I am now, like I look back, that 13-year-old kid that just wanted to be standing on stage at Madison Square Garden, with hundreds of thousands of fans screaming my name.
Right.
I get to live that, though, just not on the Madison Square Garden field. The shows that I've been able to play, people have connected. The fact that every single day we're getting 20 to 30 listens just through the Spotify algorithm, not because we put any money towards promotion. People feel that. And I'm living that amazing fantasy just on a smaller scale. So everyone right now, let's play the home game. I want you to look at your life. I want you to remember who you thought you were going to be as a child, and look at all those incredible relationships, and look at, those amazing tournaments that you won, whether it be through darts or pool or karaoke, all these incredible victories. That was you being successful. If you have children and they love you and this is just the way it goes, that's success. Right. Stop thinking it's a huge house and what is it? Bugatti. That's what I love, honestly, man. And I totally credit it to you. Childish Gambino is by far one of the most incredible artists I have ever heard in my entire life, because there's so many multiple layers to everything that he writes. And when he talks about, the motorcycle that he got, and you hear that vroom vroom, and then he corrects, that's not how it goes. It's really quiet. That is so beautiful. And such an incredible moment, because it's art imitating life, imitating art. And it's such a surreal moment. And that's kind of like how we should be living our lives. We don't have to worry about being on MTV Cribs, because you're able to support your family being your truest self. And whether that be working for someone else's dream or working for your own, as long as you're being your truest self, then you are successful.
You got 3 minutes left of this broadcast. Easy.
Word.
Sadly, I believe this is the last month of the State House. Am I right?
Yes, it is the last month of the State House, but we are going to look at it like this every night. Every night, come down to the State House because it's a celebration. It's a party. I do not live my life as living by what if. Especially this Friday, come down. It's going to be the best experience you have ever had. Cheshki is by far one of the most incredible performers, and that's coming from me. And some people might say that about me. I don't believe them, but they've said it. But Cheshki is by far one of the most incredible performers, one of the most interesting human beings. When my brother passed, this man is on tour. Doing stadium tours right now. Well, it's not stadium, doing like festival tours right now with his new band, The Co-Defendants. Buy that record. You want that record. It's amazing. And while he's on tour, he saw that my brother passed and he messaged me personally, because that's how incredible of a human being he is. So I want you all to be there Friday night because we're going to party. And on the 13th, for the last sanctuary, wear all black, get your chokers ready, let's paint ourselves pale, and let's just dance all night long. Let's get weird. We got Mandala coming. We got Bella's Bar Talk coming. This is the time to create those moments to remember forever. You want to celebrate the State House? Don't complain to the government. Don't complain to Mayor Elliker. Come down and freaking party. Let's leave a stain. Let's get there. Let's be weird. Come be weird with me this month.
Any other shows happening?
We got the Bella's Bar Talk show, which is coming up. You can also find it all on the statehousepresents.com. That's statehousepresents.com. Has the full schedule up there. You can also hit me up at any point in time. I have no problem telling y'all. If I will more than likely be there because I do the door, but sometimes they throw me behind the bar. And if I'm behind the bar, here's another advice I'm going to give you. If you want to be on the show and you beg us to be on the show and you don't tip when I'm behind the bar, Problem. Looking at you, sir. Looking at you, sir.
What about any future Shane Penguin news we can hear?
We are working to get a new guitar player. We are continuing to write. We took a little bit of time right now to process and move forward. But I have another thing. I want everyone to pay, because I can't officially announce it right now, but there is something very awesome that is going to be able to be announced, I believe, this week. Pay attention to my social media. Pay attention to the stories, because I'm gonna leave like a couple of breadcrumbs, kind of like Goldilocks or whatever that was, or Hansel and Gretel. I'm gonna leave some breadcrumbs so we can find our way back. But just look at it kind of like Bray Wyatt, man. I'm gonna give you some messages. It's gonna get a little weird, but I'm just gonna say, the 21st of May, you want to be in New Haven. That's all I'm going to say. You definitely want to be at the State House on that day. That's all I'm saying.
20 days from now, okay.
20 days from now. 20 days. 20 days. Yeah, 20 days is going to be like these next couple of weeks, it's going to be like a Rocky montage. Getting stronger. And the best advice.
But easy, only got 3 seconds on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. We will see you Friday. Myself, Friday. Easy Bluez. WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, behind the brand. Easy. It's been fun. Thank you, bro.
Always. Love yourself.
Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just a scout? I don't know. Spending time all alone, sending my songs to the phone, dreaming of a better home, while focused on trying to